My name is Ryan Avola. I'm Canadian born. I was born in Toronto, grew up in London, Ontario, and I first really found this issue to be important to me by studying social justice and peace studies here at Western and starting to unlearn a lot of the kind of typical education that I had been taught about my country and colonialism and those aspects of my life, and then starting to realize that things weren't as straightforward or simple as I had assumed, and then started to learn a lot more about Israel and Palestine and how complicated the conflict really was, but also how really significant it is in our world, and that it's a prime example of oppression and occupation, and really now we're seeing genocide. And I think it's important to me as a Canadian citizen because I'm trying to engage more as an active member in my community and as a citizen of this state. And I think if we're gonna live in a democracy, then we have certain responsibilities that we need to uphold. And that means holding ourselves accountable, our neighbors and communities accountable, and our government accountable. And that's not going to happen if people don't educate themselves and understand how ideology functions and look at how and why we understand things. And so learning more about the truths of our own history and legacy of colonialism and racism in Canada led me to be more attached to the conflict in Israel and Palestine, and really trying to engage in conversations with people about that, because it seems to be such a battle between ideas, between conversations. How do we get through fundamentally different understandings of the same thing? And that seems to be a really big challenge. So I think it comes back to how we've been educated, how we understand our own lives, and the present kind of contemporary time, dealing with the legacy of colonialism and seeing how it functions now in the same way it always has. So I don't even think it's not an issue of neo-colonialism in this aspect. It's not that obscure. Like we see an occupational force, we see a population being forced into small, isolated parts of a territory, experiencing generations of trauma, lack of resources, and trying to, no future prosperity in sight. So it's the same thing we've seen over and over again, and it's a matter of getting people to understand that and see how we're complicit in these crimes. So as a citizen of Canada, I feel like I have a responsibility to engage in this kind of movement, to raise awareness, to gather in solidarity, to raise my voice, to call politicians and say, not in my name. My tax dollars aren't going to go to this. I'm going to do what I can to participate in my democracy. And I think we all have that responsibility. And if we don't, then we're going to continue to see children killed at our own expense. So, yeah, I think it's not an issue of it's not someone else's issue. It's not that far away. This is something that impacts all of us, and that we're all responsible for handling. So that's why I'm here, and that's why I'm trying to do what I can and trying to talk to new people and find creative ways of ending this siege, ending this occupation. My name is Ryan, and I am Palestine.